Hey, how's it going? Hope you've been well. I just got back from a little trip. It's probably Weekenderlander episode 18, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be up yet because I think this is the next video I'm going to upload, which is on my GFC. I've been asked a lot of questions. How do you like it? How's it compare? Yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to kind of do an overview, show and tell, show how mine's set up, show some of the accessories and the things that I've done, and just show you the tent, really. So this is a GFC tent mounted on my 80 series Land Cruiser. GFC stands for Go Fast Campers, and this is their tent. I believe it's the thinnest tent on the market. It's 6 inches. The tent itself, kind of this industrial design. I have the orange bars, but you can get those in different colors, I believe, but I kind of have an orange retro-ish theme kind of going on here, so I figured I'd go for the orange. So we'll just do kind of a walk around of it so you can see it. This tent, I got it for a couple of reasons. One, because it's low profile. Two, because it has extrusions for accessories, like mounting these lights just directly to it, Max Tracks shovel, so you can kind of see what's going on. I got a ram ball up here. They also have a rack system called the beef rack that I took off because I just put this panel up there. You can kind of see the edge of it. I wish it was about an inch narrower, but I'll show you in a second. The beef rack goes here, and you can slide them back and forth, put as many racks up on top, and it has its own extrusion, so you can put little accessories in there. On my 80 series, it's direct mounted here and here into the rain gutter. You can mount these on crossbars, or if you have I believe the only other kit out right now is a 5th gen, but I believe they're working on a few other direct mount kits. That means you'll get the lightest weight, lowest profile mount available, which is what I did, so I can still fit in my garage with this guy. It does have 2 external gas struts, 1 on each side, and they say it's able to lift about 75 to 100 pounds on the roof. Obviously, depending where that weight is. If it's on the back of the wedge, probably you can't put as much weight as if it's on the front of the wedge, because physics and whatnot. So let me show you what I got going on. Up here, this is a 150 watt Suwalki flexible solar panel I used industrial Velcro to put that on here. Shout out to John Prawley on Instagram. He had one mounted on the GFC, and I asked him, and he said he was happy with his industrial strength of Velcro. So that's what I went. Have no issues so far, but that's just the lowest profile. I get to put my solar panel up here, so all of the light still penetrates through the top here. I'll show you that in a second. And just a very streamlined aerodynamic setup. So that's basically the tent. These are proprietary aluminum extrusions, CNC components all along the sides. They do that all in-house. It's made in the US with either mostly or all US components as well. So they do the sewing also out of their Montana-based facility. So the tent is held closed with these that go in through that little part. So you loosen this about a half a turn, and then you can shove that through. So you can either just kind of push it through with your finger or slide it with this part. So you do that on both sides. And then once that's open on both sides, then you just gotta push it up. So I'll show you. And then the struts will lift it up the rest of the way. To make it open and close a little easier, do make sure the windows are cracked so that air can both enter or escape depending on what you're doing. So then from down here, you can see the profile of the tent. It has these triangular windows on both sides, identical. And then this area right here is a side entry door that I'll show you. And then back here is the rear entry door. There is only a side entry on this side, no side entry on the right side. So here's the ladder. The ladder itself is not included with the tent by default. They do that, I guess, because they say a lot of people have rear hatch ladders that work well with the rear system. In any case, you'll have to buy the ladder separate, which they do sell. It is a little bit unique because it's got this little lip on it that kind of sets down in there to secure it. I like to keep the ladder relatively vertical, though the closer it is here, the more you got to worry about your feet kind of hitting and scratching the paint. I don't care too much about that. Anyway, that's with the ladder, so that's with the side entry. And then we'll see how much of this I can do one-handed. So the doors both have 2 layers essentially. This is waterproof canvas, pretty stout stuff. In the cold, it gets a little bit rigid, sorta. So you have this, zips up all the way, and then behind it you have the mesh. So you can roll this up and fasten it in these little guys with these bungees and carabiners that they have. So that way you can open this door all the way up and fasten that up and just have the mesh, or you can fasten both the mesh and the exterior layer up. So you can kind of open that all the way up. So inside here, you can see that the top panel is translucent. You can see it's dark up there where the solar panel sits. And then we have this bungee that goes across. There's little hooks in there. And that's basically just when you close the tent, it'll suck these edges in so that way it'll close nicely and you won't have fabric kind of hanging out here by default. The mattress is a 2-inch thick pad covered in like a Cordura cover, and it's okay. It's not the most plush mattress out there. Some people do put a little mattress topper on this, and I saw some people put those little kind of convoluted foam fold-up pads underneath as well, if you want to add a little more padding to it. So a very thin topper, the tent will still close, but you can't put like a 4-inch memory foam topper in here and expect the tent to close because it is very low profile. These windows and vents open all the way and have little pockets in here, so little mesh pockets. And then I added this, which is a little magnet, so I can stick my iPad for your GFC movie theater. And that's about it. Some companies do sell little accessories that you can put in here, but pretty Spartan on the inside overall. The tent is fastened in here with snaps all along the corners. So I literally slept in a blizzard, which we'll get into at the end of this. But I haven't slept in this thing in rain yet. So it's a relatively new addition for me. So I'm guessing it'll do fine in the rain. It did fine in a blizzard, but I have heard some water could pool up in here. There are little drain holes like here that the water theoretically should drain out. But that's just one thing to note. People say it gets drafty, maybe, though I haven't really noticed because I always sleep with these cracked just a little bit because I don't like a lot of condensation in my tents. The main thing that I don't like is this weird thing here. So it's kind of like another layer of weather proofing. Sorry, I should have held this thing up. Anyways, that thing kind of Velcros there, and then you zip this on top of it, so you have a layer covering it. Not in love with that system. Think it's kind of janky, honestly. So that's my main little gripe with the tent, I guess. And then my other gripe is that there are no rain flies. So in a storm, you just kind of got to button up and can't do anything about it. These little CNC brackets back here are from a third party company called, I don't know, I guess they're probably called Shitco. It's SHT Co. or SHTT Co. I'll link to everything down in the video description below. They sell a little kit that makes this outer layer stick up like a rain fly, but it's not really a true rain fly. It's kind of like a pseudo rain fly, but that's kind of the closest thing you can get. Actually, let me go ahead and do it real quick. So here you can see this kit comes with this little CNC part that you put there, some little tarp clamps for the corners, and then that's basically the setup I think. I could probably adjust these tarp clamps a little bit, but you can kind of zip it down or zip it up to allow a little bit of a rain fly. Though obviously if you have some rain coming in sideways, it'll still probably get in there a little bit. So then while we're back here, that is the rear entry. So like you see, I could get in up through my ladder and not use the side entry, but I typically will use the side entry if I'm with Ashley. If I'm soloing, then I'll probably just use the rear, but getting a dog, getting a Treyu up that into there is pretty tough. The other thing to note is I don't believe you can store the ladder inside. You just don't have enough room. So that's basically that on the GFC. I just kind of wanted to do a quicker walk around. My overall thoughts are that it's good for its intended use to be the most low profile and very quick to deploy tent on the market. So if you're looking for a low profile tent that can also be used as a roof rack with crossbars or as not a roof rack, then this is a great tent. So the other thing is the ability to mount accessories. So this is my solar panel wiring coming down here, by the way, if you're wondering. So these mount just into the extrusions here. This is a product by Front Runner, traction board mounts that fit up there pretty much perfectly. I'll link to those down in the video description as well. So the nice thing is you can mount accessories on the side. So I mounted these on the side because if I actually put them on the roof, then I wouldn't be able to fit in my garage. So my garage door opening is like right at the top of that, which is right at the top of the crossbars when I had them on there as well. I just took the crossbars off because I don't think I'm really gonna use this thing as a roof rack often. If I start doing something where I need a roof rack, maybe I'll put the bars back on. But for now, the only thing I had up there was a solar panel, and I decided to go with this setup. Okay, so that's it. If you've never slept in a wedge tent, well, they're the fastest to deploy by far. There's nothing easier to set up and take down than this. But the wedge is kind of unique shape. So in the end, obviously, over here, there's a lot of room to sit up straight, like a lot of headroom over here. But where your feet are, there isn't much room at all, obviously. And that doesn't seem like a big deal, and it's not a big deal, but your feet do feel kind of cramped. If you sleep with a dog in your tent and he usually sleeps at your feet, he may not have as much room to wiggle around up there. Or if you sleep with like a kid that sleeps at your feet or something, he might not have enough room. So that's just one thing to note. A lot of room over here, not much room there. All right, let me see if I can take this thing down with one hand while filming it. Okay, I think this is gonna be pretty tricky because pulling it down is a little bit tough one-handed, I think. But we're gonna give it a go. Actually, I think I can cheat the system because I can get up tall here. So what you would normally do is grab these sides and just pull the tent down. And that would be easier with two hands. So I'm just gonna grab it up top here and pull it down. So you can see we're closing. Eventually you'll get to a point where I'm not holding it. The pistons will kind of come to the point where the tent's just kind of supporting itself. So at this point, we want to tuck in all the side material. Mostly this door is going to have some stuff sticking out. So I'll kind of shove that in. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Shove that in. So I think we're pretty good. So now over here, I don't really need to be sitting here, but just so I can show you a good perspective, make sure this is lined up, and that'll just slide right through, and then you tighten that up. Don't tighten that any kind of crazy, just enough to where it's closed. Sorry, it's getting situated over here. So then, same deal on this side, slide that through. Once it's all the way, it'll stop, tighten that down, then you're good to roll out. So I think that's about it. Just had some deer friends come down and join me and say hello. Nice butt. Anyway, we're all closed up. So if you're looking for a tent that's made in the USA, which is pretty rare, is very low profile, has direct mount applications for certain vehicles to make it the absolute lowest profile tent. Side extrusion so you can mount accessories all along. Like I have the S2 Sports. These are the widest, like wide flood or whatever. I have them so I can rotate them back for chase lights or just have them angled like this for general camp lights. And then you saw earlier, Max Trax shovel mount. You can mount an awning to the side of these as well. And then you can put crossbars on the top to use them as a roof rack. So if you're looking to check those boxes, and it's just stupid fast to deploy, very quick to deploy, and also a relatively lightweight tent, especially since you don't need any roof racks for certain vehicles. Now the cons to me are price, but it's priced similar to other wedge hardshell tents. So if you're new to rooftop tents and you're like, man, $3,500, which is a lot of money, there's tents that are plenty more expensive, but there's not that many wedge tents that are cheaper. There's a few out there, but not a whole lot of wedge tents that are cheaper. And then the main other thing is no real rain flies, I guess. And being so thin comes with trade-offs. You can't leave your pillows and blankets and all that stuff inside of the tent, but you could leave probably like a blanket, a relatively thin sleeping bag, like a down one or something, and a relatively thin topper. So not to say you can't keep anything in there, but you can't keep like thick stuff in there. Hey, all right, I forgot to film an outro, so here we are later in my garage filming an outro. Hope you liked the video. Hope it answered some questions. If it did, hit that thumbs up button. But if you have other questions, feel free to ask them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Everything relevant is linked in the video descriptions below. I always do that, so always check the video description for helpful information. Get subscribed to the channel if you're not already. And if you want to see this tent, another vehicle adventure stuff, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, we do gear and good times here. And I think that's it. Until next time, guys, take care.